Greece's economic problems matter not just to heads of governments, but also to private individuals. This is obvious for the Greeks who will soon have to get used to no pay rises, higher taxes, raised petrol prices, and 2 more years of work before they get to retire. But people elsewhere in Europe, or even the rest of the world, may also find that Greece's troubles could eventually hit their wallets. I spoke to Gerald Celente, who is a trends forecaster, and he spoke to us about what developments can be expected on a local and international level. But first of all, I began by asking him to explain what a trends forecaster is.
What we do as trend forecasters is that we believe that current events form future trends. The great scholar von Schiller said, "In today already walks tomorrow." So we monitor the social, economic, political, environmental, consumer, business. We look at over 300 different trend categories on a daily basis, always making connections between different fields, realizing that all things are connected, so that when we look at an issue, we don't look through it at one prism, such as economic or political. We try to make as many connections as possible. And thirdly, we're political atheists. We look at the world for what it is, not the way we want it to be. We're not ideologues. It's not about right-wing, left-wing, center. It's just about what is. You go to a doctor, you get a diagnosis. The diagnosis is what it is, based on the facts available. It's not whether you like the doctor, dislike him, it's good or bad. It's just what is. So that's how we try to look at these issues and events.
Well, with developments up to today, what do you see happening for Greece tomorrow?
Well, Greece is just part of, again, connecting all things. Let's look at the recent history of what's been going on. And again, a way of tracking trends is an understanding of how we got here to see where we are and then where we're going. So over the last decade or so, there's been rampant speculation worldwide of people from Russia to China, from Australia to the UK to the US. Everyone's been on a borrowing binge. Borrow cheap, get in debt above your head, and try to spend your way into prosperity. And that game is ending. And Greece is just one of the many countries that are falling as a result of that, whether it happened with the U.S. in the panic of '08, the great real estate boom collapsed, Eastern Europe, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Ukraine. There's not a country in the world that has not overspent with cheap money. And just with Greece, it's just coming home to roost because their economy is one of the weaker ones.
Now, the Greek Prime Minister George Papandreou met with the French President Nicolas Sarkozy on Sunday. Sarkozy sent out a message to speculators, telling them that they should beware because the Eurozone's biggest powers will back Greece through the debt crisis that has jeopardized all 16 nations in the common currency. Now, will Sarkozy's warning bear fruit? Will the speculators back off?
Of course it won't bear fruit. It's just political jive talk. Look what's going on in the United States. We had this great crisis. Let me make something very clear for all those people that still have a brain that could think. This is not capitalism. This is not free markets. Wall Street has hijacked Washington, and the global financiers have hijacked the entire system. Just look at the names involved. Now they're talking about the Goldman Sachs gang doing their dirty deeds in Greece. How about what happened in the U.S.? Only a simpleton can't see the connections. Who was the Treasury Secretary under George Bush? Henry Paulson. Where did he come from? He was the CEO of Goldman Sachs. What happened when the financial crisis hit the U.S. in September of 2008? They bailed out the Goldman Sachs gang, the Merrill Lynch mob. Can't people see what's going on over here? These politicians are nothing but pawns for the system that puts them into place. Again, this isn't rhetoric. Look where they get their money from. Look where they get their backing from. These are the kind of statements Sarkozy, Brown, and Obama make only to placate the public, pretending that they're doing something.
Now that you mentioned Obama, the Greek Prime Minister is also going to see Obama on Tuesday. Can we expect anything from this meeting?
Well, what can you expect from Obama, the man of change and hope? He's recreated the entire system that existed before. Look at the people in the government. Where did the U.S. Treasury Secretary come from? Oh, he was the former president of the New York Federal Reserve Bank. Who's his chief aide? He's from Goldman Sachs. Who's the head of the Commodities Future Exchange Commission? He's from Goldman Sachs. Who are the people that deregulated the entire system? Go back, go over the numbers, look at the facts. Robert Rubin under the Clinton administration. Where was he from? Goldman Sachs. As I said, only the deaf, the blind, the ignorant, or those that are afraid to face the future can't see what's going on. The global economy's been hijacked. It's the biggest bank robbery in world history, but the banks are doing the robbing.
So what can the citizens of this world do?
Continue to do what the Greek people are doing. Keep going out to the streets. Keep protesting and keep it peaceful. These provocateurs more than likely are not anarchists. They're government plants. The people need to step up, regain their dignity, speak out, and stop listening to these people that have less intelligence and morality than the average person. How could anybody follow their leaders? And people have to start thinking for themselves. Start getting involved in understanding the facts. Don't stop demonstrating. Demand their rights, and also people have to accept their own responsibility for creating the problems that they've also created by over-borrowing and going too deep into debt. They have to cut back on expenses. They have to go back to what makes Europe Europe, and that is the quality of life, the quality of the foods, the quality of the family, the quality of the diversity. Stop buying into this global game. Since the euro's come about, everybody knows what's happened. Inflation has eaten away at the standard of living of the average person. The only people it's benefited are the big banks, the big brokerages, and the big cons.
And that was trends forecaster Gerald Celente.